Welcome to the Heart of Fauquier podcast. Here you'll learn the stories and tips from local business leaders and entrepreneurs who make up the heart of the community. Discover what makes Fauquier so wonderful and be inspired by the journey of local success stories. Now let's join Austin, owner of Bedrosian Cleaning Services, as we hear from today's special guest.
Welcome to today's episode of the Heart of Fauquier. Today I'm here with Steve Clark, owner of Clark Brothers here in Opal, Virginia. And I'm super excited to get to talk to him, get to know about him and the business. Just to kind of get started with things, Steve, if you could tell me just a little bit about yourself, your family, how long you've lived in the area, just a little general information.
Okay. I was born here.
Yeah.
Not at the Warrenton Hospital that's on top of the hill, but there used to be one just about a block down the hill from the old courthouse.
Okay.
That was the make-do hospital for Warrenton at the time. That's where I was born, and my sister was too.
Okay.
It was right after that they moved to the hospital up on top of the hill. Mom said it used to be called the nursing home. Now I think it's just a government building. They still use this. They still are using it, I guess, for storage or.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't think they even have any offices in it.
Well, now you just dated yourself for the people who've been around a while, I guess. That's okay.
I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
But Dad and Uncle John started the business.
Yeah.
They started it on what is South Wales Golf Course now.
Oh, really?
And
okay.
when their dad sold that, their dad, I called him Pop, and my dad and Uncle John took that money and had Mr. Eicher build this place for us, and then he rented it to us. He was a smart businessman. It was very, very late in his life before he sold it.
Yeah.
He rented it to us until actually just a few years ago.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's a long time then.
Yeah, well, I badgered him forever I need a long-term lease or sell it to me, one or the other. He said, I told him, everybody you do business with wants to see a long-term lease or you own the property.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you'll be fine just like this. I said, all right, please, H. Make this easier for me.
Yeah. Well, now you got it. So
now he finally acquiesced and he sold it to me, and now we're moving on.
Yeah, and it's a very unique piece of property. You wouldn't, in today's age, you wouldn't be able to buy this right where it is and put a shooting range and a gun store and all that. Like, it's very unique that
this was all long before regulations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there was no building code for when they built that. You ought to see some of the things that we had to over the years, rewire it. Rewire it and this and that. And this place was wired with that old stuff that they used to call snakeskin wiring, and over the years I've replaced probably all of it, if not all of it, virtually all of it, with either BX or Romex. Everything had to be upgraded and had to put more panels in because you didn't need much electricity back then.
Yeah.
Now, my gosh, now you need it for
everything. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Everything revolves around it. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So when did your dad and uncle start the business officially? Do you know what year it was?
They started in 58 over at South Wales, and they were there for 2 years, and then they came here in 1960.
1960 over here. Okay. Very cool. And then did you grow up in the store then, working here since you were really little?
Oh yeah, I was getting on the bus out front at first grade.
Okay.
I was on the bus out front. When you got home, you did your homework. I wasn't much on doing homework, but you did your homework. If you could get out of that, one of my more fun and fond memories was Dad would give me a 50-round box of 22s, and I would come out here with a little Winchester 22 rifle and entertain the ever-living life out of myself just shooting that 22.
Nice. That's fun. Yeah. So you learned young. That's the way to do it. Learn how to respect it and use it and everything. So very good. So then did you have your kids work here and do everything here, or did you let them do their own thing?
No, I've only got one, Fisher. I got Fisher, and I had the big epiphany when he was a senior in high school and finished, and I said, all right, it was always hard to get him to work over the summer or after school, and which was frustrating because he has a fantastic personality. He was great with customers and great behind the counter, but it was always a struggle to get him to put in his time here. He was always finding other things to do.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, Fish, summer's over, you're not going to college, because he didn't want to. You couldn't have held a gun to his head and made him go to college.
Oh, boy.
He wasn't going. Absolutely not.
That's okay.
It was all I could do to get him to finish high school. Why, Dad? I'm not going to go to college. I don't need to finish high school. I said, Fish, you got 6 months left. Just finish it out, please. just for Mom and I, just finish high school, okay? Yeah. Oh, all right. So he finished high school. And when I said, all right, time to buckle up, it's time to go to work, he said, I can't do what you do, Dad. I said, do what I do. What do you mean? He said, I can't be a boss. I said, you don't have to.
Okay.
That comes, you don't have to be a boss. That comes later. He said, no, Dad, because he had been watching me do all this, and he just wasn't ready for that. So he did a bunch of other jobs working at different things, and he ended up down at Elkwood Mulch and Stone.
Okay.
And Jay is teaching him to be a boss, but he don't know it. So it just gently came along. He started down there doing the same stuff he would have done here, except I had him on the counter sooner here. But he started out just doing all the little stuff down there, and we took a gun safe to his boss and his boss's dad. And Fisher didn't go on that safe delivery, but Andy Kent said, Steve, I've never seen a boy with such a hard-working attitude. I said, really? He said, when we first started there, we'd give him the weed eater, we'd go out back, said, go out and weed eat all of this, that, and this, and that. And he said, he'd come back in an hour, and he'd say, all right, finish that. What else do you want me to do? He said, okay. So we said, all right, the stone piles are all scrambled up, sort them back together, put them the way they're supposed to be. He'd come back in an hour. He said, all right, I finished all that. What do you want me to do? And he said, everybody else that we ever had that worked out here, he said, I'd have to go find them after 2 hours and bring them back in and give them something else to do. He said, and I had my own epiphany again. He's got a work ethic like that, he will be fine.
Yeah,
wherever
absolutely.
he goes, it doesn't matter whether you know it or you not know it. If you have a work ethic like that, you will do just fine.
Right.
So I was happy with that.
Everything else you can learn as you go.
Yep.
Yeah, very good. Cool. So what all do you offer here at Clark Brothers now? What all do you offer in the store and out here? What are all the things you can do?
Well, some people think we're sporting goods because that gets you into any search engine, but it's all gun related.
Okay.
If it isn't hunting, it's shooting sports, and it's not as much hunting as it used to be because it's harder to hunt in Fauquier. There's just not as many places. But there's a lot of just shooting for fun. Mm-hmm. Shooting to improve your skills, shooting to be competitive with somebody else. And that's what's fun about shooting. You can be competitive with yourself. You don't have to have somebody else.
Right. You're just beating your last best.
Yeah. I'm going to shoot better than I did last time.
Yep.
I'm going to learn more. I'm going to try this. I'm going to try that. We have a marvelous gunsmith, and Dad and Uncle John started out having gunsmithing here, so it's always been part of what was here. We've been through a lot of gunsmiths over the years. We're blessed to have had so many really good ones, and they would age out, and they had brought somebody along,
and that's more unique of a thing because the big box stores and stuff don't offer anything like that usually that I know of.
That is a tough one because you go to gunsmith school. Everybody wants to go to gunsmith school.
Right.
They teach you how to build guns, but most of what a gunsmith does is fixing something that's broken. You don't get to. Now, David can certainly build anything, but it's mostly fixing something that's broken or doesn't work correctly, or modifying it, because you can bolt on all kinds of things, but people want something other than what's bolt on. I want to make this work on this, and David knows how to make that happen. Now he's going to be frustrated at this because he said, "I'm busy enough. You don't need to tell anybody that I can do all this stuff." Yes.
Yeah. Good.
He said, "My workload doubled when you put that sign on the roof that said gunsmith."
Oh,
he said, "I'm going to go up there and take it down."
Okay.
I said, "David, it's because of your reputation." I said, "You need to start not doing such a good job when you fix stuff." He said, "Well, I know, but I can't do that."
Or find an apprentice. Have another guy with him.
That's difficult. Lots of people come in and say, "I want to be a gunsmith. Where do I start with it?" And he'll tell them, instead of going to gunsmith school, first go to machinist school. Learn to be a machinist, then go to gunsmith school. And you'll learn something. But the hard part is mechanically inclined to fix broken stuff is the hard part. Old, worn out things, just understanding mechanically how they work, because that's kind of hard to teach you. You kind of have to have an aptitude for that.
Right.
And that's what he has a magnificent aptitude for, because we bring him all kinds of other things that aren't guns.
Yeah.
And just mechanically minded. Mechanically minded, he figures out.
I mean, even guns, there's so many different kinds and they work all different ways. So figuring out the problem, even just in guns, there's such diversity.
Oh, yeah.
So definitely. So, and then you also got out here in the range. What all do you offer out here on the range side of things?
Well, that's been an interesting transformation. You know, when I was first a kid, those backstops didn't look like much more than a pickup truck full of dirt that they dumped out, and that was fine because there wasn't anything else going on, and there was no range officer. I only shot when there was nobody out here, and I'd get home from school 3:30, and I could shoot until 5 o'clock, and maybe get a customer out here to shoot, or maybe not. That's how much slower it was.
Really?
Now they shoot.
Now it's packed all the time. Anytime I go by, or anytime I'm here.
So we first started having a range when it got to be too many people, and it wasn't being, because back in the old days they worked with each other because you didn't have that many shooters, and everybody would agree, okay, let's stop shooting and go change our targets. And then you just got to be too many people. That kind of falls apart. So we started having range officers just on weekends, Saturday and Sunday, when you had the biggest load of people. And weekdays it still worked itself out. And eventually it evolved into, no, got to have a range officer every day, all day.
All the time it's open.
Yep.
Yeah, and you have quite a process with everything with the lights and everything
that's all stuff that's just evolved.
Extra safety and
evolved over time, you know, better and better ways to make it work.
Yeah.
And some of that, like the lights and the loudspeaker system, was because it was loud from the shooting, and everybody wore earmuffs, and you need to get all of them's attention. Everybody stop at once, and
cool. And you can do any caliber here, or is there a limit on caliber?
50 BMG, we figured out was just too much.
A little much.
But everything less than that.
Okay.
You know, anything less than a crew-served weapon we can shoot here.
Okay, got it. And you got your handguns, you got your shotguns with claybirds and
clay pigeon throwers.
Clay pigeons, and then you got your long range.
2-position clay pigeon throwers or clay target throwers, and all these rifle benches and the pistol benches. And the pistol bench is 21 feet and 50 feet, and your rifles are 25 yards, 50 yards, and 100 yards.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot of diversity then. Pretty much offer everything.
It's really neat because you couldn't have this if you tried to do it now. Nobody wants it next to them, and I've got some really good neighbors that have grown up with them here and us here, and as long as we run a safe range, they're happy with it.
Good. It's nice to see something like this thriving, especially in times like today. So, absolutely. What would you say are some pro tips that you have for shooters, whether they're just getting into shooting and target stuff or hunting, whatever? Like, do you have any pro tips that you can give?
Yeah, probably the most important one is, and when I say be careful about what your buddy or your husband tells you or your son tells you. Not to diss the cops, but they're terrible about what they know works for them. and they get their sister or their mom to shoot the gun that they shoot. No, you need something more gentle than that.
Okay.
Mom can't shoot the 40 S&W that you that you go that you carry as a service weapon. You need to start her more gently. No, she needs this. I need, if you're going to shoot somebody, you got to mean seriously to stop them.
Right.
I said, yeah, but they need to start out with a 22.
Yeah.
Guys are terrible about, we know what we're doing already, and they don't want to listen to the range. Our range officers just love to shoot, love to show somebody how to shoot better. It's just part of what they enjoy. They get pleasure out of helping somebody shoot better.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys aren't much on hearing some other guy tell them how to shoot better.
Okay. But so be open-minded.
To be open-minded,
yeah.
Now the ladies, they're much more attuned to listening to instructions. The range officers real often have them shooting bullseyes in just a couple magazines of ammo. And the guy is still struggling to get them in
I can do this.
And and he says, I'm not listening to anything you say. Ladies, a lot of times, haven't learned any bad habits yet.
There you go, okay.
The guys have learned bad habits for 20 years. And it's very hard to unlearn those.
It is, yeah. Very understandable. Do you think there's any, well, not do you think, but what are some gun misconceptions that people have today?
What do you want to do? Because that's a gigantic subject. My brain first goes to self-defense.
Okay,
but there's all
let's
kinds
go
of
to
other
self-defense
things.
then. What are some misconceptions people have?
Goes back to what can you handle? A 22 is a wonderful defense round, especially for ladies that they just can't get over. There are lots of ladies just have all kinds of fun with a 22, and when you step them up to the next caliber, they just don't like it. It's just too much. You take them back to the 22, and they're just happy.
That's
as a
where they're
little
comfortable.
clam.
Yeah.
Happy as a clam. 22, sure, it's not deadly, but I always bring them back to this one. Remember Hinckley, who tried to assassinate Reagan?
Right.
He shot 6 times, a 22. He shot 6 times and stopped 5 men. Obviously nearly killed Brady. If they hadn't been a hospital that close by, probably would have killed him. He was he had difficulty the rest of his life. Would have killed Reagan because he had his arm up and he had a bulletproof jacket on, but when he had his arm up, it went in the armpit hole.
Oh, wow.
And it got him in the lung. If they hadn't been that close to a hospital, he very well would have bled to death before they could have gotten him to. So the other ones were police officers and Secret Service. One of them took one in the neck, one of them took one in the stomach. I don't remember where the other guy got one, but he stopped 5 men with a 22 with 6 shots.
Wow.
So don't discount a 22.
Yeah.
It's fun to shoot, cheap to shoot, easy to shoot. But if you're going to step up to the next level, 9s and 40s and 45s, and if you want to get more exotic, they got bigger calibers.
Yeah.
Those all become the fun things of how much fun is it to have one 22 pistol and that's all you ever shoot the rest of your life. Sure, it works, it's fine. But people have 5 guns, 10 guns, 50 guns, because there's all something. All of them are different. All of them have
fun in their own way.
Every one of them has a different characteristic.
Yep. And then if you carry them, different reasons for carrying them,
lots
or
of
comfort
different
and everything. Okay. Yeah, makes sense to me. So this last year has been really crazy for everyone, but for you guys, I feel like it's probably been pretty unique. From what I understand, gun sales have been breaking records across the country.
They are.
And then to throw in this ammo, stock shortage and whatever's going on with that, how have you guys been impacted, and how are you adjusting with all these different things going on?
I consider it not just busy, but very nearly frantic.
Yeah.
And everybody says, well, it's great, isn't it? Oh, well, in
a way.
Yeah, exactly. It's good. I appreciate that. But I don't get to wait on the customers for as long and as carefully as I typically want to, because there's somebody else waiting. And all the clerks are like that. They all have to wait on people at a more accelerated pace.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating because you know that maybe that person needed a little more information than we had time to do.
Yeah.
It's a little frustrating.
Right. But at least you guys are here if they need to come back for questions too. So
that's the neat thing about having a range out here.
Yeah.
You can
when
go
they're
out
here
and try
to
it.
Practice, you can talk to whoever about it and learn more.
Yep. And they can come back in and okay, you're having an issue with something, let's figure it out.
Yeah.
And you can tweak a tiny adjustment and send them right back out on the range, and they come back in and they say that worked, or no, that didn't work. So all right, well, let's try something else.
Right. Yeah. Full service. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about with ammo stuff? Is that shortage kind of like with COVID, like where things shut down with factories for a while and they're catching up, or is there something I don't know about besides that?
No, it's all of those things.
Okay.
Huge demand. Remember, there's a whole bunch of new shooters.
Yeah,
so they all need ammo.
Yep.
And everybody that understands the industry goes, and I don't blame them, I would be too, I'm going to get some extra.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I only need 10 boxes of ammo, but I'm going to get 15.
Right.
And that's why the ammo shortage is going to go on for a while. Okay. Most of the manufacturers and distributors have said probably another year.
Oh, wow.
Because I get it. If ammo gets better, they're going to come in and buy 3 boxes of ammo, shoot 1, put 2 in the closet. Come back next week, buy 3 boxes of ammo, shoot 1, put 2 in the closet. Until the closet's full, they're not going to stop.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Which is okay, but
yeah,
just for the supply-demand thing, it's a little frustrating, I guess, for now.
COVID did bottleneck everything for a while, and it was just like toilet paper. They had enough toilet paper, but everybody thought there was a shortage of toilet paper, so they bought more toilet paper than they needed. And I remember one of those guys on TV, he said, I've got plenty of toilet paper. I don't have enough tractor-trailer truck drivers. He said, see all those trucks lined up there?
Yeah.
They're all full of toilet paper, ready to go to the stores. I don't have enough drivers.
Yeah.
So it can be the little things that make it worse.
Yeah. Yeah, up where I'm from in Pennsylvania, there's a Procter & Gamble, I guess, shipping area, or they make it there, and they just lines of it the whole summer and just couldn't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, so they're working on it, but okay. Speaking of, misconceptions earlier, I know you guys have a variety of ARs and stuff like that. Why do you think there's so much discussion about that and so much controversy over that with some people? Do you know why that might be, and how people can think differently maybe about them, so that there's not such a weird thing about them?
It's very frustrating because an example, and we'll come back to why it's an AR, and most of that's I blame on the media and the press pushing that concept. But I've said for way long ago, even before people carried openly here or had concealed carry permits, when I first got mine, it was hard to get them because Virginia was not a shall issue permit, it was a may issue permit. So you had to come up with a good reason. Well, here that wasn't so bad, but Fairfax County, they didn't give they didn't give concealed carry permits to anybody, not to judges, bank depositors, nobody. You didn't get a permit. So the General Assembly changed it to you shall, unless there was mitigating circumstances that said this person shouldn't even have a gun, so we're not getting a permit for them.
Right.
Fairfax fought that. They would change their regulations to this or that, and the General Assembly would go, no, I said you shall permit. But I said for years, if we were out west, if we lived in Wyoming or something, if you weren't carrying a gun, that's a tourist.
Yeah, you were weird.
yeah, you're a tourist if you even got a gun on. And I said, that's the only thing here. If somebody has, now I'm talking about 30 years ago, if you had a gun on, wow, why, oh my gosh, why is he wearing a gun?
Yeah.
And now that a lot more people carry, it's not a big deal.
Right.
And I like it when I see somebody with a gun on in any store anywhere. I go, that's great. nothing bad's going to
protect me.
Nothing bad's going to happen here, because whoever the bad guy is that's casing this place is going, oh, I see a couple people with guns on their hip. How many more has somebody got them in their pocket?
Yeah.
So it just makes everything safer. It really does. People think that it's dangerous, and they make a big deal out of road rage.
True.
Those are illegal acts.
Yeah, they are.
You can't shoot at somebody because you're mad at them. That's just as illegal as running into them with your car.
Yeah.
So road rage is an illegal act. Don't think it's the gun that's the problem. It's the person that's got an issue in their head that they think they're going to shoot at somebody to straighten this issue out.
Right.
It's illegal. It's when you do something wrong, it's because there's already a law against it, or morally it shouldn't have been done. Even if there's not a law against it, you know better than to do that.
One question I wanted to ask is, the Second Amendment we've brought up a couple times, I think, and how important that is. For people who want to see that defended in, the Constitution as a whole, but, specifically that, what are the best ways people can be defending the Second Amendment?
And that's my frustration, and it's where gun owners, they kind of feel like they don't do enough. I get that, because I don't feel like I should have to.
Right.
It's a guaranteed right. It's not a law. It's a right.
Yeah. Yep. And
I shouldn't have to fight tooth and nail for it. It got eroded a little bit. It was either 1928 or 1932 when they passed the Stamp Act for machine guns. That was a tax revenue, but it got construed into something bigger. And ever since then, they've been nibbling at our gun rights. And when you say, what can we do to defend those rights, and petition whenever there's somebody, you make a point. This is not something you can legislate. The Second Amendment says you cannot interfere with my right to keep and bear arms. That doesn't mean assault rifles or a handgun in your pocket, or it says firearms. It doesn't say any particular. Remember, when that law was, when that right was given on the battlefield, the assault rifle was this smoothbore Brown Bess 69 caliber with a bayonet on it. That was your assault rifle of the day. And it's very frustrating that they try to expand it into, well, this was, that's a military, the ARs that we were talking about earlier, that's a military weapon. The Second Amendment doesn't say anything about
differentiate anything,
and it's not a right to go hunting. It's not a right to defend yourself. It is a right to keep and bear arms, and it shall not be infringed.
Right.
And infringed means that every single gun law is illegal.
Right.
And until the people that write and pass those laws get dinged or smacked on the head or whatever you want to call it, we try to vote them out, but that's been a frustration. Suppose, I've often wondered this, suppose there's two candidates and I love everything about this one, but he's anti-gun. And I hate everything about this one. He's wrong on everything, but he likes guns. Oh my gosh, I've got a tough decision.
Yeah, that one thing.
Yeah, and it shouldn't be, because our right to keep and bear arms is the Second Amendment says you cannot infringe that. So I shouldn't have to worry about the Second Amendment.
Well, before we finish,
okay,
if there's any, do you have any closing thoughts? Maybe something I missed, either about the store or the range or guns in general, or even the community. I don't know if you had any kind of closing thoughts for us. But
I've been here a long time, and I still love Fauquier County, but it's changed a lot.
Yeah.
Main Street used to have all the hardware stores and barbershops and whatever else, and you knew everybody there, and everybody knew you, and you see people on the street that you were always get caught up in conversation, and not so much now.
Yeah.
But that's I don't want it to go back, because that's not fair to go back in time, because you just took a whole bunch of people's jobs away from them and houses away from them and everything else. You can't make Fauquier County 1870 again.
No, not Mayberry anymore.
You can't. That's exactly.
Yeah.
So let's be, let's be real careful, real smart about how we're moving forward. But when I say don't fight progress, let's make progress adaptable to all of us, and us adapted to progress, because I'm sorry, but it's only fair that it progresses.
Right.
It's not fair to tell somebody else that they've got to do this or not do this with their property. The pursuit of happiness, that's in our Constitution also.
Yeah.
And we wouldn't have such a neat county if we hadn't progressed. It's still a magnificent county. But like I said, we wouldn't have this range if I tried to come in here and put this range in now.
Yeah.
It would never fly.
Right.
So I'm real blessed, happy with that. But at the same time, it just doesn't seem fair that somebody else couldn't come in and do it.
Right.
I know somebody else wanted to put a better range than I've got in here.
Right.
It'll never happen. They won't let them do it, and that's. I realize that's not fair. I shouldn't be the only one in Fauquier County with a shooting range.
Right.
If I can make the best one, then they'll come to mine. But somebody else may want to do it a little different and cater to a particular niche of people. But I know we're way off subject, but
no, that's okay.
That's what I see in Fauquier County. This county is magnificent, and the same things that save it for us are also the things that make it struggle to be fair to everybody.
Yeah, I know there's this real battle, between what kind of progress is best and how do we hold on to that Mayberry feel, and it is a real struggle, because just like you were saying, you kind of miss the going downtown and saying hi to everybody and that feel.
Yeah.
But there's also a real desire to be the best and grow and have new things and everything. So that balance is difficult, no matter which side you're on. It's difficult. So
no matter which side you're on.
Well, out of the things that are still going on in the county, you've been here for your whole life, and your parents before you and everything. So what are some of the things that are still going on in the community, whether it's events or places that you really love to participate in or give to or go to?
Still like going to Warrenton. It's still enough of an old town, small town feel that I still like very much to go do my business in Warrenton, whether it's eating or shopping or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is because we've gotten more businesses in town now, to the chagrin of some of the people that still want it to be 1870. But you still got to love to go through the old parts of Warrenton and kind of conjure up what was this like when it was gravel roads up on the top of Warrenton, and those back, well, you don't call them subdivisions, they would be now because that's how they develop them, but to go back there and look at the old homes that they've kept in, they're old style homes, but they've kept them nicely done. We've still, for the most part, been able to resist the property value being so high that they buy an old home and knock it down and put a new one up. I really love to see them keep the old parts, and you can still buy modern stuff,
right?
But not in the old part of town, and that's neat. It's just fun to drive through there once in a while.
Yeah, it is.
I don't like to do it too much because that's just what those people don't like, is all the looky-loos that drive through their neighborhood. Right. But it's just neat to see, and you go, wow, what a view from here, and I think back about the Civil War, before the Civil War, and what did you see from those balconies going on down in those valleys? I just think that had to be so neat.
Yeah. There's some pictures from back then that are cool to look at.
But I want to stand there and watch it happen.
Yeah, right there in person. Yeah, absolutely. So, one more really quick question, then we'll come to a close. Where is your favorite place to eat in the county?
Oh, goodness. Eat out. Yeah, because see...
Because home is probably number one, but besides home.
Yeah, but this was especially fun when my mom's health was declining, so I took her out to eat on my day to go grocery shopping and do things with her, and we always went to all the restaurants and stuff around Warrenton. So that's tough because I like the Black Bear Bistro. I like the Denim, because I've seen the Denim and Pearl change
different
2-3 times. Yeah. I like the old one because it was Iron Bridge for a while, and I liked Iron Bridge when it changed to Denim and Pearl. I like that. I like the Molly's.
Yeah.
I still like the restaurants that are up on the Old Town.
Yeah.
And some of the ones down the side streets, because Mom knew a lot of those people, and she just wanted to go in there and we'd eat at the different ones. Yeah. And well, even if it wasn't still the same people that ran it, but she remembered it from then, so we'd go in there and eat, and different kind of cooking, and gave me back my remembrance of old Warrenton.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks again for visiting with me and letting me see what you have going on here. And we'll see you guys next time. And definitely come and check out what Steve has here.
All
and, whether for guns or just to enjoy the range with practicing. So thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode of The Heart of Fauquier. If you loved joining us today, give this podcast a great review and subscribe to keep up with new episodes. If you have an office in Fauquier that needs a cleaning service, reach out to Bedrosian Cleaning Services and see how they can serve you. Until next time, thanks for listening.